Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
On Friday, Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, sent a letter to you saying, basically, we don't want your help, you make matters worse. Saturday, one of your supporters is murdered in Portland by, it looks like, a suspected Antifa individual. And then on Sunday, Wheeler comes out and Biden and essentially tries to blame shift to you for the violence there. Your reaction?
Well, these are terrible and very incompetent people. Portland's been burning for many years. For decades it's been burning, but now it's gotten to a point they don't want to do. I watched the mayor try and get in with these people, and he went to a protest, and he went in there. They almost killed him. If he didn't have security with him, he had 5 security guards, he would have been dead, just like they would have done to Rand Paul, who's a great guy, and his wife, Kelly. It is a disgrace when you look at what's happening. Now, we sent in Homeland Security. The reason we sent them in was to protect our courthouse. We have a $300 million courthouse, and they wanted to blow up our courthouse or burn it down. Take your choice, blow it up or burn it down, they said. And I said, no, that's not happening. So they wouldn't protect it because the mayor said he doesn't care. So we sent in our Homeland people. They did a great job. Immediately, Homeland Security. Immediately, it was protected. And that's the only reason they were there. I've offered to send in the National Guard. I've offered to send in anybody they want. I could put that out in 45 minutes and it would stop. And I think the people of Portland and the people of Oregon, I know it's a liberal state, considered liberal, they're tired of it. They're tired of having, of living with this curse. They're living with a curse. They say that when you walk through the streets of Portland, this is years and years of burning, and it's
not last 90 days. It's been really
no. It's been horrible in the last 90 days. But no, it's been going on for many, many years. It's like you're in. I won't name the city, but it's a city someplace in the world that's not so good. Okay, it's a terrible situation.
The Oregon governor said no one is safe in Donald Trump's America.
Yeah.
They're trying to turn the tables on you after months of, they're not really saying much about the violence.
Right, but they won't ever criticize anybody that really, that's a violent person, frankly, that's violent. They stick up for the violence. They don't, the people that are getting hurt, they don't care about. They don't care about these people. It's a weird thing. It's like warped minds. And for the last 93 days, I've been offering to send, and as you know, they have to take the offer. They have to ask to have help. I've been standing and I've been saying, anytime you're ready, we'll put it out.
What's motivating them, Mr. President?
I think it's a sickness, actually. I think there's a fear. I watched the way they treated this Mayor Wheeler when he was standing there, and I'll tell you how unfair the news is. NBC News didn't show that he was being shouted at and cursed at. And he ran, and literally he had to run for his life because they were going to really hurt him. He had security. If he didn't, he would have probably...
Well, they showed up as an apartment building over the weekend.
No, how he can still stick up for him. I think there's a fear. I think he's afraid.
Are they afraid that Oregon could be in play because of people's concern about law and order? Is that what you're saying?
It could. I don't know. No. I think that, like the Mayor Wheeler, I think he's probably afraid for his life because if you would have seen him... But I'll show you how dishonest. NBC News put on, and they didn't have the people shouting. They had him standing there, and they talked about how it was a show of great unity, the mayor standing with the people. Those people were going to kill him. They were saying things that I can't repeat right now, but horrible things, but they didn't put that on. I actually happened to see the real tape on Fox. He escaped with his life, and yet he doesn't want any help. It's so unfair to the people of Oregon. We could solve that problem quickly, like I did in Kenosha. Kenosha went through 3 or 4 days of, you wouldn't have a Kenosha right now. We demanded that they send in the National Guard, called the governor, and in all fairness, the governor did it. Not enough, but it was enough to put it out, and we ultimately put in more. We had 1,000 people, and we put it out quickly. You wouldn't have Kenosha right now.
In Pittsburgh today, Joe Biden gave a speech, and he spoke directly about this violence.
He may believe mouthing the words law and order makes him strong, but his failure to call on his own supporters to stop acting as an armed militia in this country shows how weak he is.
Your response to the Vice President, sir?
Look, he's a weak person. He's been weak all his life, but now he's really weak. He shouldn't be running for president. He should not be there.
But do you want your supporters to confront the
No.
left-wing protesters,
No.
or do you want to leave it to law
No, I don't want them.
enforcement?
I want to leave it to law enforcement. But my supporters are wonderful, hardworking, tremendous people. And they turn on their television set and they look at a Portland or they look at a Kenosha before I got involved and stopped it. Or they look at Chicago where 78 people were shot last weekend and numerous people died. Or they look at New York where violence is up by 150%. It's up by a number that nobody, and people are leaving. They're looking at all of this and they can't believe it. They can't believe it, whether
But you
it's
don't
my
want them-
support or not.
But you don't want them showing
No,
up
I
to try
don't.
to...
Well, it's a peaceful protest. I mean, they were protesting. They weren't. It's amazing. They want to protest, and they get criticized. The other people run through the streets, burn down storefronts, hurt people, beat people, and kill people, kick people in the face. That would have happened to Rand Paul, by the way, and his wife, except that you had 2 and then ultimately 4 very good policemen who took a big beating. They took a big beating. And they really saved Rand Paul. In fact, we're going to bring him into the White House and give him some kind of an accommodation because they really, what they did was very brave, actually. I mean, can you imagine? I'm saying policemen were brave because they're escorting, but they're escorting a U.S. senator and his wife. And as Rand said, he would have been killed if they weren't there.
Isn't it true also, Mr. President, that Democrats have been in their own way inciting this violence against individuals for almost as long as you've been in office?
Sure.
If you see anybody from that cabinet, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
There needs to be unrest in the streets.
The domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States.
It's not only the Democrats, it's the media, the fake news. The news is so fake. Like I told you with the mayor, where they make him look like it's a great unity thing when actually they were cursing at him and they would have done big numbers on him, but they don't show that. They just show the mayor standing with these very tough thugs, and he was gone, okay? They saved him. But NBC shows it like it's unity with the people. I don't get it. I don't know why they're doing it. And I will say this, at some point, I will not be president. Hopefully that'll be in 5 years from now, but I will not be president. And they're going to die. They're all going to die. Can you imagine if they had to cover Sleepy Joe Biden? It won't be very much fun. But much more importantly, our country would go to hell. Our stock markets will crash. As sure as you're sitting there, we will have problems like you've never had. But if you take Kenosha and if you take other parts of the country that I don't even talk about, I could show you things that we've done to stop this kind of a thing that's happening in Portland and happening in Chicago and happening in other places.
Most red states are cooperating with federal law
Almost all.
enforcement, and things
Almost.
are relatively calm in red state America. But Biden said again today in Pittsburgh that essentially you're not going to be safe in Donald Trump's America.
So if it weren't Donald Trump's America, to just use the expression as I'm president, you would have riots like you've never seen. The Democrats have lost control of the radical left. And if you look at Bernie and I call it the manifesto that was agreed to with Biden and his group, that's further left than Bernie ever was. They won't be able to control these people. These people have lost control of these people, and it's hurting them. Don't forget, Biden wasn't going to come out of his basement until the election. Now he had to because the polls are so good. For me, now he had to because the polls are different. So all of a sudden he's in Pittsburgh. He wasn't going to leave his basement. Then he said, okay, he's leaving, but he won't leave for 10 days. 10 days is a long time. So in the meantime, like on Sunday or Saturday, I'm in Texas, I'm in Louisiana. I was going to stop in 2 other places. Fortunately, they didn't get hit. Arkansas wasn't hit very much, et cetera, et cetera. I would have stopped. But I'm all over the place. I leave early in the morning. I get home late at night. And that's what you have to do as president.
And
Joe doesn't have energy.
Tomorrow you're going to Kenosha, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
of course, the scene of so much unrest lately. And the governor says he doesn't want you to come. Why is it important for you to be seen by the people of Wisconsin now?
Because I am a tremendous fan of law enforcement, and I want to thank the law enforcement. They've done a good job. And when the governor says that I shouldn't come or he'd prefer that I not come, I'm the one that called him and said, Tony, you got to bring out the National Guard. Well, I don't really want to do it. Tony, you got to bring it out. And unlike your governor of Oregon that just keeps saying no, he agreed to it at least. Now, he agreed to a small number, but the small number was plenty.
But isn't it a political motivation? They don't want you to come to Blue State America because they don't want the media to have to cover what's really happening on the
that's
ground.
true.
Isn't this
Oh, that's
political?
true. If you look at what's going on at Blue, as you call it, Blue State America, Blue City America, you look at what's going on in New York, you look at what's going on in these states. Chicago is a disaster. Portland, you look at Portland. Now, Portland's a little different. That's anarchists, and I actually think in many ways that's easier to handle. I think Portland is very easy to handle because that's a group of anarchists that are paid by the outside. And, we put a lot of people in jail. I don't know if you know this or not. Remember 3-4 months ago, we were having a problem with monuments. They were ripping down statues and monuments all over the
Democrats
place.
didn't say anything about that.
No, the Democrats had no control. It actually got out of control even for them. I signed in an executive order, 10 years in jail if you knock down a statue or monument. You haven't heard one thing about it. They were going after Thomas Jefferson, they were going after Lincoln, and they were going after the Washington Monument if they could knock that one down. They were going after everything. And I actually don't even think they know. I think they're just thugs. I don't think it may be an ideology and it may not. It is an ideology for the people that are paying them. And the funny thing is, and the strange thing is, the people that are paying them and all this money, because somebody's doing
What
it.
about the
They
corporations?
travel. Well, wait, the people paying them, those people will be overthrown. Their lives will be taken away. Their lives will be endangered. They're all going to be gone. They're just stupid, foolish people that made a lot of money.
But corporations have given an enormous amount of money in the tens of millions or maybe hundreds of millions to Black Lives Matter.
Because they're weak.
Which is all over a lot of these protests. So what does that mean about these corporations? Why are they paying that money out, Mr.
Because
President?
they're weak people, led by weak people in many cases, not all corporations.
What does that mean, they're weak
I looked
people?
at numbers where one company is giving hundreds of millions of dollars.
When you say they're weak, what do you mean? Explain
Because
that.
they just do what's the easiest path. That's not the easy path. That's a very dangerous path. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. You remember pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. That was the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter. I said, that's a terrible name. It's so discriminatory. It's bad for black people. It's bad for everybody. And all of a sudden it becomes like sort of, although now if you look, it's going way down because people are tired of this stuff, what's going on, the Black Lives Matter. If you look at what's going on with the bats and a lot of thugs.
Running through D.C. last night.
Oh, it's terrible what's going on. But Black Lives Matter came into existence walking down the street screaming, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. And that was about police officers. That was representing police. They were pigs in a blanket, like the sausages or hot dogs, fry them like
Well,
bacon.
they were saying worse over the last couple of days in D.C.
Oh, I think even worse. Yeah, probably.
No, it's
If
gone.
I don't know. Do you get worse?
But
yes.
DOJ's role in trying to really hit the law enforcement accelerator here against these groups. A lot of the individuals coming into Wisconsin have been tracked as out-of-staters,
We
the
have
ones
them
who've
all.
been arrested.
We have them all.
Can DOJ do more, and what could they do to really start putting the fear of God in these violent, not the peaceful protesters, but violent protesters?
So they have under investigation a lot. In fact, I'll show you. I just had this because of this very important interview with you. But I just, and I'll give this to you, in Kansas City, violence has decreased by a third since the initiative began. In Indianapolis, 49 guns confiscated. More than 1,000 arrests have been made under the initiative. DOJ is addressing violence and crime across the country. FBI, but you don't read that. The FBI and ATF are assisting the Portland Police Department. But you can't do much when you have absolutely no cooperation.
But if they don't think they're going to go to jail for 10 years for doing what they're doing, then they're going to keep doing it. So how does a Trump re-election calm things down in the United States? Biden says he's going to calm things down. How will a Trump
He won't
re-election
calm things
calm?
down.
Why? Why won't he calm things down?
Biden won't calm things down. They will take over. They will have won. If Biden gets in, they will have won. He's a weak person. He's controlled like a puppet. So it's not going to be calm things down. It's going to be they will have won. They will have taken over your cities. It's a revolution. You understand that. It's a revolution. And the people of this country will not stand for that. They're not going to stand for that. The vast majority of people feel like me. They feel like every time I put Law and Order up on social media, it gets such an incredibly positive response. The people of this country will not stand for it. If you say calm things down, yeah, calm things down because they will have taken over. Take a look at what's going on. And Biden, well, Biden is, I don't even like to mention Biden because he's not controlling anything.
Who do you
They
think is
control
pulling Biden's strings? Is it former Obama
people
officials?
that you've never heard of, people that are in the dark shadows, people that...
What does that mean? That sounds like conspiracy theory. Dark shadows.
No,
What
it's
is that?
people that you haven't heard of. They're people that are on the streets. They're people that are controlling the streets. We had somebody get on a plane from a certain city this weekend. And in the plane, it was almost completely loaded with thugs wearing these dark uniforms, black uniforms with gear and this and that. They're on a plane.
Where's this?
I'll tell you sometime, but it's under investigation right now. But they came from a certain city, and this person was coming to the Republican National Convention. And there were like 7 people on the plane like this person, and then a lot of people were on the plane to do big damage. They were coming
Planning for Washington.
Yeah, this is all happening.
But the money is coming from somewhere.
Money is coming
How can it be
from
tracked?
some very stupid rich people that have no idea that if their thing ever succeeded, which it won't, they will be thrown to the wolves like you've never seen before.
Still ahead, President Trump reminds us of the racial unrest during the Obama-Biden era and their total inability to stop it. Plus, I pressed him about his plans for racial outreach during a second term. Stay right there.